The Unhappy Hour on the new AmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific! Kind of like a Let's Get Ready to Rumble thing. I'll work on that when I can be a little louder next time. All right, everybody, my name is Brian Engelman. Welcome to the TNAM Radio Network here at thenewamericanmedia.com and the show called The Unhappy Hour. I am back, and I am ecstatic. Why am I happy? I'm happy because the Cleveland Browns got a win. A much-deserved win, a hard-fought win, an overtime win over that team that stole our team, the Ravens. And so we're going to bring in Zak Baris to talk about that. Make sure you're checking out all of our social media sites. YouTube.com/thenewamericanmedia. It's a good one.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Oh, man, it's a lot better when the Browns win. I'll tell you that much. The whole next week just feels
when
different.
You're at the game.
What's that?
I was at the game.
Tell me about it. How was the crowd? Was it electric? Were people screaming for Johnny through the first half?
It's actually pretty cool. So it was a nice stadium. I actually think since Brown Stadium's been renovated, I actually think Brown Stadium is nicer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But it's a very nice stadium. For a while, this was the cream of the crop. This is one of the nicest NFL stadiums.
Yeah, because they've only been around since 90 whatever.
It's been around since I think maybe 97, 98. So it was a very cool stadium. The tailgating, I will admit, was not nearly. It doesn't even compare to Cleveland Browns.
Was it pretty cool though? I was at the Charger game, and I'll tell you what, there were tons of Cleveland Browns fans at the Charger game. Tailgating.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. When you go to so there were not a ton of Browns fans there. It was very sparse.
Okay.
There were not a lot of Browns.
That was probably like me when I went to the Oakland game a few years ago, and my cousin made me cover up my Browns shirt and said, "We are going to get shanked. We are going to get stabbed."
I mean, but here's the thing, though. If you went to there were a ton of Browns fans at that Oakland game a few years ago, because if you were at the 49ers game, I don't know if you were at that one, but the 49ers game was 50% Browns fans. I'll never forget that. And,
really?
A couple of years ago, and if you go to the game, a Candlestick, and then back, especially when Kelly Holcomb was the quarterback back in 2003, that was all Browns fans at that stadium.
I was at that game. I was at that game where we won the game on the last play. Phil Dawson kicked the field goal, but wait, there was holding.
That was with Kelly Holcomb. That was 2003.
Beautiful stuff.
So I have to say the stadium was nice. I sat in the club section. I got some nasty looks. I don't know if you remember the play when the Browns. It looked like it was roughing a punter. They called a personal foul penalty. I screamed F yeah, except I said the whole thing. And everybody in the club section staring at me. We were the only Browns fans in the club section. And
I love it. And
then I was wrong, and I was like, crap. And then, all these Ravens fans, they were being really nice to us when we were down 21-9, and stuff, and they're losing. Even the couple next to us were like, hey, you guys should come out after the game with us. We'll take you to the bars. And I'm like, great, thanks. And all of a sudden it started changing. McCown threw the touchdown pass, and it was 21-16. Browns fought their way back into it, and you're like, okay, we really have a chance in this game.
Right.
Came back, hit the 2-point conversion. That's when you're like, okay, I think we're going to win this game. And you knew Baltimore was going to drive downfield either way to put the game in overtime.
You kind of got the feeling, Zach. You kind of got the feeling it was going to be the team that had the ball last was going to win. I sent Greg Moore. I know you know him now through Twitter.
Yeah.
What is it? At Moore Sports, at Moore Humor. He's got a few of them now. I'm trying to keep track of them. But yeah, I said, hey, get me a meme with the Dumb and Dumber thing. And so you're saying there's a chance. And I swear, like 4 minutes later, the meme king, he made one and. Browns have a lead in the fourth quarter, so you're saying there's a chance. And yeah, it seemed like who was going to get the ball last. And did you feel like that last drive?
Did get the ball, though, in overtime, and I was like, geez.
Yeah.
But as soon as Baltimore, I knew all it took was for the Browns to get the ball, and they were going to score. McCown was on fire at that point. I knew it. I mean, I was looking, and I'm like, if the Browns manage to get the ball in overtime, they're going to win this thing.
Well, before we get to overtime, I wanted to backtrack just a minute because I felt like Mike Pettin got bailed out with the overtime win because I felt like he needed to call that timeout earlier, and he really put the team in a bad position when we had a chance to one or two more plays, another 10, 15 yards, and we could have won that in regulation.
Yep. Yeah, you always want to leave time on the clock because no matter what, Baltimore wouldn't have had time anyway. this is what I understand about a lot of NFL coaches. I don't know why you wouldn't want to save some clock. Baltimore wouldn't have had time to march down the field. That's what I don't get.
Right.
But you know what? Besides the point, you know, he made the right move starting McCown again. You looked how good Josh was in that football game. I mean, made throw after throw. And the thing is, too, another thing that's really impresses me is he's able to find Gary Barnidge on almost every play. And this guy's wide open. You know, he doesn't have the speed of Kellen Winslow. He doesn't have the speed of Jordan Cameron.
He doesn't have the strength of Gronk.
You know, but the thing is, the guy's a good blocker, and he's an above-average pass catching tight end. He always finds it open. He doesn't drop the football.
Yeah, even the ones that bounce off of his ankles and his calves.
He made an unbelievable catch too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, you're not going to see a better, weirder catch than the one that he did for his touchdown in this game. I couldn't believe it.
I'm like looking, I'm like, he caught that. And the scoreboard showed immediately, and was like, yeah, that was a hell of a catch. And I was just like, you got to be kidding me.
Was the crowd there? Were they? Did the crowd understand on the replay and see that it was a catch, or were they
booing at first, and then they were all like, they were still booing, and they're like, everybody in my section, they're like, that was a catch. That was a catch.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta respect a play that was done properly. If you watch the replay and you go, wow, I can't believe he caught that. What are you gonna do? You know, like, you can't dispute it. It's like, wow, that was one of the best catches of the season so far, hands down.
Yes, exactly. So it was a hell of a catch. It really was. There's nothing you can even say against it. I mean, if the Ravens would have had it, you would have been like Cleveland lost.
Because that was a bad throw by McCown. I mean, obviously it's a good throw, but I mean, he just launched it straight in the air, and you know.
I mean, yeah, but here's the thing: Barnidge still came down with it, and he put it in a position where only Barnidge was going to come down with it. So, you know, and the thing is, people need to start taking Barnidge seriously, because look what he's done 3 games in a row. And don't forget, this guy. It's not like he was bad last year. He just didn't have a lot of opportunities to get the football. I don't think he had a drop last year either. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I remember reading he didn't have a drop last year. And so the guy can catch the football. There's no doubt about that.
Well, let's get back to overtime. Let's get back to overtime then, because I kind of jumped in there to bring it back to Pettin's lack of calling that timeout, which I felt really could have damaged us had we lost that game. I feel like Pettin would have been in an enormous pot of boiling water. But yeah, you were starting to say that you felt like whatever team, as soon as the Browns got the ball back, that it was over because McCown was that on fire. What is he doing right?
Yeah. I mean, he's making the right throws. Here's the thing. If you look at let's go into the last 4 games. With Manziel at quarterback, DiFilippo called a very good game, okay? Against the Raiders, DiFilippo called another great game. He's not going to get the credit for it because McCown underthrew Travis Benjamin on that play going down the sidelines on the left side, on the north side of the field. He underthrew him, which would have been an 80-yard bomb. You know, Benjamin was wide open, had all room to go. And then the final play of the game, too, which would have been a touchdown if he wouldn't have if Charles Woodson wouldn't have undercut the route, and he would have been thrown a couple of yards further, Benjamin would have had a touchdown.
Yeah, an overthrow and an underthrow.
Great game against San Diego. The play calling has been fantastic over the last 4 weeks.
What are you seeing out of the running game? You know, they've been able to get a few plays, but it seems like
not a ton, because I think teams have been stacking the box because I don't think they believe in McCown.
And that's why the running game has looked so bad, which is why now we're throwing it 40, 50 times a game.
Which is fine if they can throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game and they're getting away from it, putting up a lot of points. You know, the difference is with Brian Hoyer, the Browns couldn't throw the ball 40 to 50 times a game and win. That's the difference.
I mean, Josh Gordon looked good back there. I mean, it's hard to even remember Josh Gordon on the team. Which half of which year was he playing? But
the thing is, I really don't. And I'm going to say this right now. I don't think this. I think Travis Benjamin is truly, he's a very good wide receiver. I mean, we've seen it now in all 5 games this season. He's performed.
Right.
All 5. The guy's having a great season. You can't ask much more out of him. Barnidge has performed well too. And the other receivers, the Browns could use another very good receiver. It'd be great if they could ever get Josh Gordon back, but you'll never be able to rely on him. So it's always going to be a what if. And do I think he's with this football team next year? I do.
Absolutely, I do. You can't give up on talent like that. We gave up a second-round pick for him.
No,
we know what he's capable of.
The problem is you wind up getting rid of him. He goes to Baltimore, New England, gets his head on straight, and winds up leading the league in receiving, is going to torture you for the rest of his career.
Yeah, no thanks.
At least if he's not going to play, he's not hitting your salary cap, he's not taking up a spot. If he's suspended, he's suspended. He's not taking up any of your time. The next suspension, he's out of the league for a couple of years.
It's so man. Do you see Lamar Odom might be out of
yes,
this world? He's hospitalized,
yeah,
and
that is sad.
I don't know. I mean, we're still getting details on that,
So,
but yeah.
So it was funny actually flying to Baltimore. I was sitting directly next to Tony Grossi on the plane.
Oh yeah.
I mean, boy, did he look annoyed. I didn't say anything to him. You know, did I want to say something? Yeah, but I didn't.
Tony Grossi always sounds annoyed. I actually
always on Twitter, talking to people, always sounds really annoyed. And so I didn't say anything just because I know, you know, when you work in sports, you don't want to have a bunch of people coming and asking you a bunch of questions all day, especially ones that don't know anything. And any question I asked Tony Grossi, I could basically answer for myself, I'm realizing. You know,
that's why we bring you back on.
You know, so it was funny though. Getting off the plane, the guy behind me notices Tony Grossi sitting next to me, and starts asking Tony. He's like, "Oh, hey Tony, does Golik's kid go to Solon High School? What position does he play?" And Tony's like, "I know he goes there. I don't know what position he plays. I really don't." And he's asking him. This guy's asking Tony Grossi 4 or 5 questions. And finally, at the point, he's just like, "I don't know." Like you could tell, like he really was just tired, did not want to be annoyed. You know, it was.
Wait, now this is the flight. This is the flight back from Baltimore or into Baltimore?
This is the flight into Baltimore.
Okay.
It's Cleveland to Baltimore.
Gotcha.
This is Cleveland to Baltimore, the 9 a.m. flight on Southwest.
Yeah.
And on Saturday morning, and you know, I came back last night, and you know, it was a fun trip. I think the Browns were at the hotel. I'm not sure if they were staying at our hotel. I think they were. Because I saw my farmer in the lobby at one point on Saturday evening. Alone. But it was 100% him. The guy's huge.
Was he texting anybody?
He was actually on the phone. At the Hilton in Baltimore, right next to Camden Yards. I have to say, Baltimore, for the most part, is a very nice city. I was surprised really how nice it was.
Well, when they're not rioting at Oriole games.
I mean, that area is gorgeous down there, especially, I mean, when you're down by Camden Yards or the Inner Harbor, so it's a really, really pretty area.
I've heard that about that part of Baltimore. I've never been.
They've done a really nice job with their waterfront.
I was down there when I was a little kid on like a whole East Coast trip.
It is much nicer than I remembered. It is a very nice city.
Well, that's the same with Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cleveland's a lot nicer than I remember.
Baltimore that are not good. But for the most part, Baltimore is very nice. I got to give it credit. They've done a nice job. But their fans were very disrespectful after the game. I mean, I'll say this too. There were a lot more open seats than I expected at the game. You know, you always see open seats at Brown Stadium.
Yeah.
There were a lot of open seats in Baltimore. A lot.
Well, their team kind of stinks this year. 1-4.
But a lot of their fans were leaving with 3 minutes left to go in regulation. I can't tell you how many fans were leaving with 3 minutes.
Oh, like Miami Heat fans, you mean?
Like when the Browns scored, it seemed like started clearing. And then at the end of regulation, more fans left. Then in overtime, when the Ravens punted, the Browns got the ball back. There was just mass exit. There was just a mass exit by Ravens fans, and you're just like, what the hell are they all leaving for now? The game's not even over.
I mean, how spoiled do you have to be? You appear in the league and you have 2 Super Bowls.
We're leaving the stadium, and this guy is saying, he's like, you guys suck. I'm like, you guys just lost to us at home. What does that make you?
1-4. That's what it makes them.
Yeah, that's what it is. I was like, dude, I'm not trying to pick a fight. Like, just shut the hell up. Get on with your day. You lost. Stop being a loser and move on. Like, stop. Like, let us enjoy our win. We're not being obnoxious. So, So the Browns just started barking in this jerk off's face.
I had an experience in San Diego. I'll tell you what, the people there were great. In general, they were great, and the Southern California Browns backers
40 to 50%
was
Browns
awesome.
Fans?
I went to a Buckeye game at Cal Berkeley, and it was about 70% Buckeye fans. It was absolutely incredible, like a home game. This was not like that. This was a strong 10 to 30%, somewhere in there. It was a strong group, but what they do well is they do the partying. They do their Browns backers gatherings really
I'm surprised
well.
it was so low. It looked a lot more on TV. And
You know,
when I was there in 06, it was at least 40%, at least, because my whole section, I was in the plaza level, which is basically the club level in San Diego when I sat there in 06. And it was, my whole section was Browns fans. All over was Browns fans. I remember walking in the seat. I saw more Browns fans than Charger fans. But I think last night when Pittsburgh played, there had to be 70% Steeler fans.
Well, you know, it might be the case because I've had a few people that said they watched the game on TV and there were a lot more. And who knows, from the perspective I was at, I don't know, maybe I just didn't have a good view of it.
It looked like there were a lot on TV. I mean, it looked like a good at least 35%.
Everywhere I looked, there were Browns fans, but it's, you know, clearly outnumbered 10-1 or 7-3 or whatever.
Baltimore was outnumbered 50-1. It would seem like 100-1, maybe even 200-1.
Yeah, that was the that was the Raiders game I went to. I think my cousin and I were the only Browns fans there, and the rest was work release day.
Well, there were a lot of Browns fans. I mean, I was even talking with fans when I used to go down to Arizona or San Diego for the game, and they go, "We go to the Raiders games, we just don't wear Brown stuff."
Yeah, I was vetoed. I was not allowed to wear my shirt. And actually, there was an unfortunate event where my custom jersey did get taken off of me and thrown, and then kicked, and then thrown in the trash. But I was the one that initiated that. So we'll kind of skip past that part of the story. But yeah, I like going on the road. If you're cool to people, they're mostly cool to you. You know, most of the time, everything's cool.
We were being cool, and all the fans are cool until we started winding out the exit. And then you started seeing, and they're just like, you know, I mean, some of their fans are just obnoxious to me, but the Browns fans have that too. Cleveland has it too.
Oh, yeah. I know.
We do, and we can be very obnoxious to opposing fans. But these are the sorest of sore losers I have ever seen in the stadium.
Well, because they're so spoiled. They come into the league magically and get 2 championships, and they're consistently good in the playoffs.
This is their first 1-4 start, Brian, in the 20 years they've been in the
Let's make them the #1 pick and let them whiff on the wrong quarterback. That'll be fantastic.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't take a quarterback.
I know.
They're paying a quarterback $120 million right now.
And that's a beautiful thing.
I mean, that's the problem with the Ravens. The Ravens, for years, have been able to get by and having tons of talent on the defensive side of the ball, being able to run it down teams' throats because they never had to worry about having a quarterback. You know, paying a quarterback a lot of money. Now they suddenly have the league's highest-paid quarterback, or one of the top 2. You know, and Russell Wilson's up there now. And, you know, suddenly they're not able to devote all their salary cap room to their defense. Their defense is awful. I mean, they couldn't stop anything all day.
They allowed the Browns to put up points.
And by the way, you know, the Browns' running game isn't great, but it's nice to see Crowell and Duke Johnson being able to catch passes out of the backfield. This is something the Browns haven't had in a while.
Right. It's necessary. I remember who was a good one in Browns history. Leroy Horde was always good.
Peyton Hillis had a great year a few years ago catching the ball out of the backfield, but the team was so bad.
Yeah, he had that one good year. He got on the cover of Madden.
He had like 600-700 yards receiving. He had a great year.
Yeah, I always liked Leroy Horde catching it, and just he was either a fumble or a touchdown waiting to happen. I loved watching him play. He was exciting, if nothing else.
You know, yeah, I mean, it's just...
Well, Duke Johnson, so you got Duke Johnson, you got Crowell. I mean, what do you think's going to happen with our new running back coming in from Seattle?
I don't really think there's that much playing time. I think, like I said, Crowell's been playing well, and Duke Johnson's been playing well, too. You know, I don't know if Turbin's going to see a ton of playing time.
I just get the feeling they went after him. He's a 4-year player out of Utah State. I feel like they've kind of really had their eye on him, and I think that they're going to give him some touches. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. I mean,
we'll
you're
see
right.
What happens. Let's see what happens. I mean, but like I said, I think Crowell's a good running back. I still think the offensive line's been fantastic, although they were better on Sunday, but still not great. You know, Cam Irving should be slid in there, you know, soon. Seems like. I mean. But I'll tell you this, too. I mean, it was a good game. It was a great game. McCown's been fantastic. I mean, no matter what happened against San Diego, the guy deserved to start against Baltimore. Played excellent against San Diego. Gave them a chance to win on the 2-point conversion. Did the same thing this week in Baltimore. The same exact thing. And by the way, the Browns have themselves a kicker in Coons.
Explain that. Just hitting that clutch shot. That's welcome to the league, rookie.
The football. There's no doubt. I mean, look at the guy. I mean, he, you know, came in there, his first kick in the NFL was a 48-yard extra point.
Yeah, I know.
He drilled it. I mean, Brian, on some of those kicks he had the other day, I mean, he was nailing them. I mean, like they were through the top of the upright, like hitting the top of, you know, those things have been good from high 50s, low 60s, and he was killing the ball.
Well, it's good because that was a completely up in the air position going into the season, and really through a lot of the preseason they didn't have the kicker situation
nobody knew
settled.
who our kicker was going to be. I mean, but look at a team like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has a good chance to win the Super Bowl this year, but they don't because of their kicking situation. Imagine when it gets below freezing, they're facing New England in New England in the AFC Championship game, and you don't have a kicker. How much has New England been able to rely on Adam Vinatieri and Steven Gostkowski to get them to win, to get to the Super Bowl and to win Super Bowls? It's been huge for them.
Yeah, it's like the setup pitcher or the closer in baseball. You need some.
I mean, the thing is, if you don't have,
I'd say maybe the quarterback is the closer, but
look what happened. Yeah, but look what happened a week ago when Baltimore beat Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh couldn't close the deal because Scobie missed 4 field goals.
Yeah, that's a bad day.
I mean, Pittsburgh had every opportunity to win that game, and they should have won that game, but they didn't because they couldn't make a field goal. I mean, we saw how important it was last year. Was it Billy Stupid Cundiff, lost us 2 games last year, I believe it was, off of just missed field goals?
Yeah, you got to have it. It's.
I mean, the Ravens game we would have won last year. He missed 2 field goals in that game. It was terrible.
Well, speaking of terrible, let's talk about the Browns' defense. We have $67 million on our defensive payroll, and we don't look like a good defense. What is the problem?
Here's the problem. You got rid of guys like Ishmael Kitchen. I think Jabal Shear was the worst, and I don't understand that one why you got rid of him. Not only he was inexpensive, the guy could win Defensive Player of the Year this year with the way he's playing. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, and it's another Bill Belichick reclamation project like Dion Lewis from the Browns.
I think the biggest problem with Ray Farmer is he wants to develop his own players. Well, you got rid of Pro Bowlers in T.J. Ward. You got rid of Buster Skrine, who's having a phenomenal year in New York. You got rid of Jabal Sheard. You've gotten rid of that whole draft class from a few years ago where there was a fair amount of talent in that draft class.
Yeah. And it's just so he could put his own personal stamp on the team?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is you got to take talent,
But his stamp right now is I made the team worse. That's his current stamp.
I expect the defense to get better. I expect Joe Hayden to get healthy. I mean, don't forget he sucked at the beginning of last season, too. He was terrible. And then look what happened. He came on and the whole defense got better.
Kind of like the Cleveland Indians. They always start the first half slow, and then half the time they can either get a tie one-game wild card play-in or you miss it by 4 or 5 games. It's like, we got to start stronger in this town. In the Cavs started like crap last year. So
that didn't matter, though. I mean, if you looked at, they were unaffected by that. I mean, Brian, come playoff time last year, you couldn't have told me that it even had any adverse effect on the Cavaliers. Look what they did to Boston. They did Chicago when they were sick, and they didn't have home court against Atlanta and kicked the crap out of them in 4.
If we get to the finals, if we get to the Super Bowl with the Browns, I'll be happy. I'd say it's a successful year. I'll be cool with that. Definitely.
You mean the Cavs? I mean, yeah.
No. I mean the Browns. The Browns get to the Super Bowl.
I expect the Cavs to go out there, and I'm telling you this right now, to win 68 to 70 games. Do they have the talent to do that? Yes, they do. But are they going to do it? No. You're going to see a lot of minute restrictions from this team. You're not going to see guys playing heavy minutes because they don't need to. By the way, I mean, I was at the game tonight for the first half. I laughed because I'm like, why do I want to watch this?
Oh, because you're like a Baltimore Raven fan. That's why. You left halfway through.
But Jared Cunningham looks good. I mean, he'll probably wind up making the roster.
Really?
And, and that's the thing. Yeah, he looks very good. He gets to the line a lot. He cannot finish necessarily, but he gets to the line.
Yeah, but we don't have a lot of open roster spots. How do you see that playing with the Cavs?
I do think Jared Cunningham will wind up making this final roster. I don't know how. I have to analyze the final roster, but I tend to think he'll be on it. Again, looking at the team, Sasha Kwan looked pretty good tonight.
Oh, dude, hey, hold on. Before we just took that, we veered off down the road. I want to go back a block real quick. I want to talk about the Broncos. What do you expect for that? And then I want to hear about the Cavs.
I mean, here's the thing. If we can, Peyton Manning has not looked good. This is the Browns' first chance this season defensively to shine and go out there and make the Broncos' offense look bad. And they've been bad. It's very weird that it's their weakness this year.
Peyton's old, and it shows this year.
But they're 5-0. It's not like they're a bad football team. They're 5-0. But I will tell you this. What we did to Baltimore on Sunday, we have a chance this year. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I'm saying they have a chance on Sunday. And when you're at home and you go in there and you don't know what the weather is going to be like on the lake, you know how these teams play, and if you can get to Peyton Manning, you can start blitzing the quarterback, you can get to Peyton Manning, force some turnovers, which the team doesn't have, and they're due for it. and McCown plays a good football game, which is asking a lot because the Broncos have an amazing defense. But this is a winnable football game. A lot of the Broncos games have been very close this year.
Yeah, they have, and look at how the game ended last week.
And think about this: if you win this Sunday, you're 3-3.
Oh, I like that.
When this team was 1-3, I don't think anybody expected them to beat Baltimore. I think everybody expected Baltimore to come out there and kick the crap out of them. They were upset that they started the season 1-3. And then, what did the Browns do? The Browns came out and they were resilient. They were down by 12 points.
Yeah.
I was sitting there in the stands watching the game and I go, okay, we're only down by 4 field goals.
That's pretty much how it goes with the Browns sometimes. That is one of my concerns with McCown. He seems to stall on drives a lot. I don't know what the league average number, where he ranks in that, but it just seems like a lot of times he could punch it in but doesn't.
All the third downs in that game from what I saw.
Yeah, like the first part of the game. The whole first half, it was, yes, we were hanging in there.
I think he's getting more depth to the offensive, but I'll take this. Anytime a guy can perform in the second half over the first half, I'll take it. Look at a guy like Brandon Weeden. He always played well in the first half. Can never make any adjustments. He always was terrible in the second half. It drives me nuts watching him with Dallas. I'm like, how did we sit here with this guy of 2 seasons of this putz, at quarterback?
They just got rid of him just now. Or at least they're moving away from him.
He's terrible. The thing is, you watch him and he has these drives sometimes where he goes out and you're like, damn, like he's turned the corner. Like when he comes into the backup, you're like, okay, he's turned the corner. This is going to be his moment to shine. He looks really damn good. And then he goes in there and then, he starts a game and you're like, okay, he stinks. It's Brandon Weeden. He's good for like one drive a game. He can come in, but he's still the cannon for an arm. And if you don't apply pressure on him, he's going to, he can do something. You put any kind of pressure on that guy, then you're going to blow him off the ball. Well,
the good thing that that's going to help the Browns is DeMarcus Ware isn't going to be there to blow up the Browns' offensive chances this week. So their defense has been keeping in it, but they're not going to be with DeMarcus Ware. So
yeah, which is it's a plus for the Browns,
hands down.
Like I said, Travis Benjamin should have a good game. I fully expect DiFilippo to call a good game. This is a team he knows in the Broncos. He's gone up against them a fair amount, being with the Raiders. He's not saying much, but I expect this football team to at least come out there and put up a fight this weekend. I think it's going to be fun. I just hope the weather's decent.
What's it look? Man, we're in the middle of a heat wave. It's probably some of the worst heat we've had all year, the past week.
Brian, I say this every year. Nobody ever believes me when I try to tell people the worst months in LA. You don't want to go to LA from mid-August to like late October, mid to late October. It is always terrible there every year. I was in LA last October. It was 105.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm sitting here in the studio and I'm looking at my Buckeyes hat. It's all sweated through. I took it off. I'm like, oh, gross. I don't want to ruin you, Buckeye hat. You're the #1 team for now.
Only in Cleveland next week. 48 on Sunday.
Oh, 48.
And then back in the upper 60s the rest of the week. It's only cold on football Sundays here.
Well, but that's an advantage. Well, I guess the Broncos are used to it.
Not an advantage against Denver.
Yeah.
It actually is. Peyton Manning's always stunk in the cold. He's always been terrible.
Hey, and he's old. I have him in my fantasy team, and I am just regretting it.
He looks old. The thing is, it's funny how people are talking for a quarterback change. They're 5-0.
Talk about a game manager. Yeah, if you got a killer defense, that guy could manage you a few wins. No, I wouldn't bet against him yet, but he's not the lights out. He's not playing where Tom Brady is.
Super Bowl this year? Absolutely not. I think Tom Brady's too good. I think New England can score on anyone.
The Packers look good.
Yeah, I don't see though. But Aaron Rodgers does get stopped. Sometimes that Packer offense does get stopped. New England. They're just torturing teams.
It's like they're playing a different sport, said Mike Polk Jr. It really is that they are putting up tons of points. It would be impressive if I didn't dislike them so much, with Belichick being there and whatnot. But no, it's a time to take a step back and reassess and evaluate where we're at in our season. And the Cleveland Browns for playing as bad as we have played at certain points. We're sitting here. There are 6 teams in the AFC that only have 1 win. 6 teams. We are looking at a wild card chance.
Out of it by any
no.
you play every Sunday one game at a time. If you win this Sunday, you live to see another day.
Yeah, Cincinnati 5-0. That's a little tough, but it's
don't
doable.
Forget Andy Dalton always sputters at some point in every season. People are like, maybe he's turned the corner. Maybe he has, but it's still Andy Dalton. And the day I believe in Andy Dalton is the day they get to the Super Bowl.
Do they have to win a Super Bowl?
But don't forget, this is coming from a guy who's never won a playoff game, who has had unbelievable games in his career where he looks like the best quarterback in the NFL. He also has games where he's looked like the worst NFL quarterback in the league, who shouldn't even be a backup.
Well, okay. Let's just kind of press pause with the Browns because we were headed for a top 5 pick if we lost that game this week, and luckily it didn't happen.
I completely agree.
And I think right now we totally have a chance to rattle off a few wins in a row. I mean, look, the schedule's going to be tough, but tell me what week in the NFL isn't tough. People want to pay attention to that. So, well, they got a tough schedule. You don't know who's going to be what. You don't know what. Look at the Jets. The Jets are kind of solid. The Ravens are down.
The Jets are a very good football team. If the Jets actually had a real quarterback, they'd be phenomenal.
Well, maybe Fitzpatrick is actually better than Geno, but we have some tough games coming up. The Broncos, Rams, Cardinals, Bengals, Steelers. So what? But you got to play tough teams in the NFL. I don't want to hear people crying, "Oh, it's the Saints." Well, look at the Saints this year. You never know what your next year is going to be. Oh, they play the third worst strength of schedule.
There's a decent chance I'll be in St. Louis for that game next week.
Wait, if they win, you're just going to decide to go?
Yeah, why not? Tickets are dirt cheap in St. Louis. The Rams don't have any fans. They're not even showing up the games.
Do you think that the Chargers are going to LA next year? Who do you think? What two teams?
I think the Rams are. I think the Rams are going to LA next year. I really do. I think the Chargers could be going too, but I think the Rams, because Kroenke actually has a stadium in place, and a lot of it should be privately funded.
Have you ever been to the Chargers?
I have been to the Chargers.
Do they have the
stadium
smallest?
Qualcomm's terrible.
Do they? Wait, what'd you say? The whole what?
I said Qualcomm's terrible. Their stadium.
Oh, yes. I thought you said the whole city because the Gaslamp District in San Diego itself is amazing.
I love San Diego.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misheard you.
The Gaslamp's the best. I love it down there.
It's a rad place, man. If you haven't been, go to San Diego and maybe go to La Jolla and go on a kayaking tour. I highly recommend it. But do they have the smallest big screens in the NFL? Is there a team with a crappier stadium than that?
No. Of all the ones I've been to, nothing compares to San Diego other than Oakland is terrible too. San Diego Stadium, Qualcomm, so depending on where you're sitting, you can either only see the video board or the scoreboard.
It's weak. It's
hands down, and that was a bad stadium when I was here 9 years ago, Brian.
No, and that's what I was saying. It looked like there was a smartphone or a tablet attached to the wall with like some duct tape. I went, oh my God, the Chargers are going to L.A. They haven't put a dime into this place in a decade. Look at it.
More than a decade. I
mean, probably. Yeah, probably.
The last time they probably pumped money in there was to get the Super Bowl back in 2002.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they have the site already here in Los Angeles. I mean, how long does it take to build a stadium? I'm just kind of curious where we are with the next steps of what's going on with L.A., but...
I mean, honestly, Joy, where do I think the best part of the stadium is for LA? I mean, you look at gentrification in cities. Where does it all happen? Look in Baltimore. Look where they built Camden Yards, and look where they built the Ravens Stadium. It really helps. Look at Cleveland, the Gateway District. It was a bunch of old warehouses. You look in these cities, build the stadium. I know they're not doing it, but build the stadium downtown. It solves all of LA's problems. Traffic would be a nightmare, but it is the most centralized part of the city. And it's a Sunday anyway when the games are playing. So I really don't know how traffic would be. Because traffic's never bad on the weekends in L.A.
No, it was always bad for me trying to get up to Hollywood Billiards.
Going to the beach and going to Hollywood is bad. But I'm saying, though, downtown, if you build that up, I mean, the problem is the 110. I will say this, though. The problem is downtown is where all the freeways meet, and they're all very narrow. The problem is downtown in LA didn't start blowing up until 20 years ago, was the problem with LA, and they never expanded the freeway enough. If you look, don't forget the 101 goes down to one lane. The 101 south goes to one lane to get to downtown when you get onto the 110, when you get onto the 110 west.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It goes, the 101 collapses into one lane. There's always such congested traffic around downtown L.A. because the freeways, there is one lane to go when there should be 6 or 7. And the thing is, people always get in accidents right there because they don't realize people think you have to cut across 5 lanes on the 110 South heading through downtown in order to stay on it. You know, to get off at some of those exits downtown, they don't realize that you can stay in the right lane the whole time.
They need just a bit.
Exit.
They need to like paint those middle lanes red and like paint like something like expressway to the 10 because it is madness right there, and that's where I almost ran out of gas one day.
What I would do is, I mean, the thing is, if LA really wanted to build that stadium downtown, you need to expand the freeway, and the thing is, you need to build massive parking garages. The problem is with building a stadium downtown, yes, it sounds lovely, and that's what you'd want to do in order to help out the city. But that's the one thing it really needs down there, and then you could expand LA Live even bigger. But the problem with that area is there is not a lot of room for parking garages down there. A lot of that land is already developed. Yeah, it's crap. It could be it honestly could be redone, but it'd be a total zoo. But downtown's a ghost town for the most part.
Yeah, you know, it was weird. I was at
but downtown is a total ghost town in LA.
Let me say, I was at an event in downtown on this past weekend, so I took the light rail line over a couple of times, and it's really cool because it drops you right off at Staples Center. You're right behind the Hooters, and there's Staples Center, and there is the convention center. So we went to the convention center, and if people haven't checked it out, I interviewed John Fugel. This is a thing called Politicon. I interviewed John Fugelsang, David Webb, Liz Plank, Michael Steele, Edward Snowden gave an interview, Cenk Uygur, and then Hugh Hewitt and Larry Elder, the Larry Elder one coming up. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Zach, with any of these cats, but Larry Elder and Hugh Hewitt are both huge Cleveland sports fans, and half of the interview when I talked with both of them was about Cleveland sports. So if you haven't checked it out, or if you're not familiar with them, you should.
I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, Hugh Hewitt is a badass. He's a really whip smart political mind, and he's a huge Buckeye, Indian, Cab, and Brown fan. So yeah, it was a really cool chat. But yeah, I think that where they're going to put the stadium is Inglewood. I think it's going to Inglewood.
Which I don't like Inglewood per se. I mean, honestly, I think the best area is over by Chavez Ravine because there's so much. It seems like there's so much land on the backside by Griffith Park over there in Chavez Ravine, and there's so much parking. It'd be awesome to tailgate. It really would be awesome to tailgate over there. Yeah. I mean, it would be so much fun, that area. It'd just be one giant tailgate. But the thing is, there are no bars, there are no restaurants in the area. That's the issue.
If you build it, they will come.
The thing is, the only real spot to do it is in Inglewood.
Well, that's where the Rams guy owns the land right there off the 405.
Yeah, over at Hollywood Park. Yeah,
it's right by LAX. It's right by Venice and Santa Monica.
Well, that's what makes it so accessible. But there are, and you have a ton of hotels by LAX. But the problem is, if you live inland, if you live by Hollywood, or you live in the Valley, Inglewood is not very accessible. I mean, it's a good 45, 50 minutes without traffic from Hollywood.
Hold on. When are you driving without traffic?
On a Sunday. I mean, there's still beach traffic. That's another problem, too, is the beach traffic.
Yeah. The only way to do the beach is get up at 6 in the morning, go do some early stuff, and then be headed back while everybody's headed out.
What I would do, I would just take Mulholland down to Sunset and drive Sunset all the way down to the PCA.
You know what we've become? We've become an episode of the Californians from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
You take the 101 to the 405.
Or what you do is you go all the way north on the 101, and you take Topanga or Malibu Canyon, which are both pretty areas to go through, and there you can avoid the traffic. But, yeah, the traffic always drove me crazy. I lost all my patience as a driver living in L.A.
Yeah, I need the helicopter already. I need the wingsuit or something. It's time. 2015, I should be flying in the sky. Yeah, I can't take it much anymore. But hey, let's get to the Cavaliers. Like you were saying about the roster. I mean, what are you seeing out of Richard Jefferson? What are you seeing out of the Cavs?
Jefferson looked good tonight. He really did. Mo Williams looked good. For the amount I was paying attention for a preseason game, Dellavedova wasn't making his floaters. I mean, this team has a lot of depth. It's the most depth they've had in years with the talent they have. I will give them that.
So Mo Williams and Richard Jefferson, talk about how much that upgrades the team versus last year. Who's not there?
What they had last year. I mean, Dellavedova is a good player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not good for 40 minutes a night. Nor do you want him playing 30 or even 20.
And that's what Richard's.
don't forget if this team would have had Mo Williams, Richard Jefferson, and Sasha Kwan last year going into the finals, there's a chance they would have won the finals.
Even without Kyrie and Kevin Love.
Yeah, they were just gassed at the end. And if they would have had Barnidge out too. Don't forget, when you've got a roster of Timothy Mozgov, you've got Sasha Kwan, Anderson Varejao, Tristan Thompson, and Kevin Love. You have 5 big men that can most of them can play the 4 or the 5. I mean, that's what's so impressive about it. Is, Love is a 4, Varejao can play the 4 or the 5, Thompson can play the 4 or the 5, Kwan's a 5 for the most, he's a 5, and Mozgov's a 5.
But we're talking, you mentioned Thompson.
But Thompson will wind up signing, trust me on this one, just trust me on this one.
I thought it was going to be by today.
It's going to be soon. Trust me on that.
We got 14 days left. All right.
And what I'm getting at is that they have a lot of depth there. Okay, so suddenly behind LeBron, you added Richard Jefferson, who's a big bonus over Sean Marion, who's just washed up.
Sean
Marion.
Marion.
Still have James Jones.
Yeah.
Don't forget James Jones is still on the team too, who played well last year for the most part.
Does Ray Allen have any interest in coming back? I know he kind of hinted at it again.
I don't think he's coming back. I really don't.
Okay.
But you still have, Shumpert, you still have JR. You added Mo Williams.
Did you see J.R. Smith left in the middle of the game to go get cotton candy and eat it?
Yes, I saw that. But this team, though, is just loaded with depth. I mean, they added so many more pieces. Technically, they added 4 pieces from what they didn't have a year ago, because I'm throwing Barnidge out. Okay?
Yeah, you're right with Barnidge.
You don't need Barnidge to ever play more than 12, 15 minutes a night this year, and you've got to keep him healthy. I think they know that.
And that's a great situation for him to be in, because maybe he can have an amazing season.
He's a very good player, and he can play 30 minutes a night, but you don't want him to. You don't want him getting injured.
Right. Well, hey, how injured is Shumpert? When's he coming back? That's too bad.
Shumpert's going to be a few months.
Yeah.
But, like I said, this team's not even – they're purposely not going to start clicking until March. You'll see anyway. It's not going to be as bad as last season, because they figured it out, and last season they had a ton of holes and no depth. This season, they have a lot of depth. I think you're going to see them win a lot of games. But I think you're going to see these guys taking nights off here and there.
Tim Duncan did not play. Reason? Old. That's still one of my favorites.
I mean, it just is what it is some nights, and you're going to see it. But I truly believe this will be the season Cleveland will win it all. So
do I. That's why I'm cranking out my book. There's only next year what happens to 3 generations of Cleveland sports fans.
Mike, I have tickets for Thursday. I'm going to go out instead and wind up giving away the preseason tickets for Thursday. So, it just doesn't. I was at tonight's game and I was like, oh God, how long should I have to sit through this until it counts?
Yeah, I really think this is the year for the Cavs, and that's why the book has to come out. And some people are wondering if this is the Cubs season. I don't know, but they just advanced.
I'll just tell you this: Back to the Future, the Back to the Future trilogy is like my all-time favorite trilogy.
Over Star Wars, over Lord of the Rings.
Don't even get me started. It's not even close.
Wait, how does it not even close? Lord of the Rings was epic. It was amazing. The CGI.
Don't even get Brian. Don't even get.
Well, I'm trying to get you started because that's one of Greg Moore's. No, that probably is Greg Moore's favorite movie. He's gonna have it like you guys are now like blood brothers on
Back
this.
to the Future is my favorite. So, and they had the Cubs winning in 2015. So,
Yeah, but over Miami. Over Miami. Let's not forget.
But yeah, okay. I know, but still.
The prophecy is
winning in the right year is still unbelievable. And this, like I said, I tend to think this Cubs team, if they can win it this year, they're going to end up winning a lot of championships. They're a really young, good baseball team.
Well, Theo Epstein, look what he did. You cannot underestimate what he...
Really, in 2 years he comes in there and turns his team around. I mean, they are a powerhouse.
Well, Joe Madden. I mean, how dumb did Tampa have to be to not make him stay somehow, some way?
But, this was a better opportunity for Joe. He's going with the club with a high payroll, with better, long-term talent that's there year in, year out. I mean, this team is going to be really good. Just wait. The payroll's not even that high.
Oh, I always liked Joe Madden's teams. I always liked his teams. They were always tough. They were always scrappy. He always got the most out of them. They seemed cohesive. They were really good teams, and that's what you're seeing with the Cubs. I'm actually pulling for them.
I am too. I'm pulling for them now. I really am.
I mean, I would like to watch the Dodgers win because it's my city, and they're a National League team.
I've always liked the
Dodgers. They don't compete
They're
against the Indians. When I go to a Dodger-Indian game, I cheer like hell for the Indians. But if the Indians aren't playing them, I can watch the Dodgers. I can hope that
one series a year where they might face for every other year where they face each other. that's when I always root for the Indians. It's not even close.
Not even a
thing.
thing.
The Dodgers win. Let's put it this way: if the Dodgers win, am I going to go out and celebrate hardcore like I would for an Indians championship? Not even close. I'll be happy and have some drinks.
Yeah,
but I'm not going to go out and go to the parade. I mean, if the Indians win or a Cleveland team wins, I'll be at the parade.
I'll be flying. Hey, I'll give you a cheers. All right. Well, then, when are we doing our NBA preview show, Zach? We're about 14 days away from the start of the season. We got to knock one of these out.
I would say in a week and a half.
Oh, like right before this? That is going to make UFC as MMA go bonkers. He's going to be Corey's going to be like, dude.
Days. I don't know. I mean, I'll be available come next week. So.
Okay, here let's make it interesting, Zach. For first beer purchase, next time we run into each other, probably in a city not known as Los Angeles, because we always seem to meet up in either Vegas or San Francisco or Cleveland. For the prize of a beer, what's going to happen? Are we going to do our NBA preview show first, or will Tristan Thomas be signed first?
Tristan Thompson will be signed first.
I call him Thomas again. Tristan will be signed first. Okay.
I was listening to NBA radio the other day on Sirius XM, and this one guy said Tristan Thomas 11 times.
I just did it once, just out of the corner of my mouth.
Screaming through the radio, I was like, Thompson! It's Thompson, you moron! It's Thompson!
God, there was one of these recently, and I was watching, and I couldn't... the same thing just happened to me. I'm having a moment where I can't recall the guy's name. But it was... Oh, well, how about Barnidge? I heard that on ESPN yesterday.
Yeah, it drives me nuts.
Gary Barnidge with the circus. Look at Gary Barnidge. Look at... Like, dude, can a producer go, it's Barnidge. Barnidge. Sounds like Carnage. Garnage, but Carnage Barnidge. I like it. Let's make a t-shirt. Can we do that?
Yep.
All right, Carnage Barnidge. All right, I'll ask Zach to make a meme about... Carnage Barnidge. Ooh, I actually do like that. Okay, I'm writing it down. Carnage Barnidge. Anyway, okay, so Tristan Thompson will be signed before we do our NBA preview show. Other than Lamar Odom, the situation that we brought up, he was found unresponsive in a brothel in Vegas. Hearts and minds and thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. He's hasn't really been having a good time for quite a few years, kind of like Steve Sarkisian. So I mean, do wish him well. I wish Sarkisian well. But back to basketball. Any other developing storylines that have caught your eye, or players starting to emerge?
No, not much else right now.
Yeah, you know what? Then how about this? We'll ask Corey, otherwise known as UFC is MMA, as he comments on every one of our shows, and he probably goes blah blah blah. Shut up about the Browns. Get to the NBA stuff. All right. Why don't you kind of give us some of the stuff you've been watching and what you've been noticing? Because this dude is a junkie. Obviously, Zach.
I have not been watching much basketball in the preseason. I'll tell you, I never do.
Well, why would you? When you were used to be scouting, you had to dig through so much file and tape and footage, and it's a little bit burnout.
The preseason is so useless in the NBA unless you're judging for a 13th, 14th roster spot. That's it.
I mean, do coaches get to implement a lot of new plays, or don't they use the time?
Yeah, especially it makes more sense for a team like the Bulls, who have Fred Hoiberg in place to implement their new offense. Yeah, makes a lot more sense because they're in a totally new scheme.
Yeah, what do you think's going
to totally different team?
What do you think's going to happen with them? Yeah, things are looking up in Bullland.
I think they're looking up, but I still think the Cavaliers are the cream of the crop in the East.
Well, with all the injuries, do you see them coming in at 2, a 3, a 4?
Cavaliers played them without Love last year, without a healthy Irving and LeBron played like crap, and they still won in 6.
Yeah, but it took a last-second shot.
So did it for Chicago, too.
Yes, it did. At least LeBron didn't have to call bank.
As good as he was, Derrick Rose was at 100% in that series, too. Don't forget that.
He was.
Chicago got Cleveland with the better basketball team. I expect Cleveland to come out there. I don't want to be surprised if Cleveland doesn't sweep the East this year if they're healthy.
I feel like we would have done it last year. Hands down. By the way, what is the timetable on Kevin Love and Kyrie? What are we looking at?
Kevin Love, you could even see action in the preseason game next week from Kevin Love.
Oh, nice.
Kyrie, they are going to sit for a while. My guess he'll be back the first week of December, end of November.
Wow, that's a long time to play without Kai.
It's a month.
That's a long time, though.
They should about 12, 13. But the thing is, could he come back earlier? Yes.
Well, but Mo Williams being able to step in and be the guy and have Delhi.
You don't need Delhi playing 40 minutes a night like he would have last year. I mean,
yeah.
This thing is, you have Mo Williams and come in there. Mo Williams played at, close to an all-star level when he was with the Charlotte Hornets last year. Go back and rewatch. He played close to an all-star level.
Yeah, and I think he's going to play even better with LeBron again. I mean, geez.
Don't forget what assets he has. He's got LeBron. He can have more open shots. I mean, he played with the freaking Timberwolves last season.
Yeah.
And the Hornets, two crappy teams. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm very excited for the season now, and I think it's going to be a fun year, especially if Oklahoma City's healthy. That Western Conference is going to be tough.
Hey, last 30 seconds is what's going to happen with Durant? There have been stories out there. There have been rumors of rumors.
I tend to think Durant I think for some reason, I think the New York Knicks are a sleeper, but I tend to see him going to the Washington Wizards because of his ability to be able to get out of the Eastern Conference a lot easier than the West. And I think he's going to see that. I don't see him going to the Lakers. I mean, I can, but I don't. The problem is, if he goes to the Lakers, they're still another year away. Or a couple years away, because they're still, James Harden's still under contract for a few years, and Russell Westbrook still has another year after that, too. And I don't think they're going to have the superstar power to even go in there and really compete in the West, even if they have to ramp their current roster.
Huh. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch.
And Durant's going to want to sign long-term under the new deal because of his injury history, especially lately. So,
you're probably right about that.
One-year deal anywhere.
Yeah.
I think he could resign with OKC. Let's see what happens this season. If they don't win, he's not coming back.
All right. Well, Zach, thanks again for your time. Everybody, make sure you're following him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. And like I was saying, we have a bunch of videos. Michael Steele, former RNC chairman. And don't forget that Cleveland is going to be the host of the RNC, the Republican National Committee? Convention? I don't know. I always confuse that because the convention is what I'm talking about, but committee is what the title is. But we talked with John Fugelsang at Politicon. He's a radio host and an actor and comedian. David Webb, Liz Plank, Hugh Hewitt, big Cleveland sports fan. Larry Elder, big Cleveland sports fan. Edward Snowden interview is up there. We filmed it. We didn't get to interview him yet. And Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks. So everybody out there in the TNAM universe, I appreciate you. I love you, and I'm out. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. The new AmericanMedia.com.
And this is John B. Wells reminding you that not only is Brian Engelman a cool guy, and not only is the new AmericanMedia.com a very cool platform, but here's a cool idea for you, too. Are you alone? Not really. Do you like dogs? Do you like cats? You do. Of course you do. Everybody does. One or the other, maybe even both. There are a lot of dogs and cats that are at shelters right now, and if somebody doesn't take them home, they're going to wind up euthanized. That's a nice way of saying they're going to be killed, because there's simply not enough room. I guarantee it, the best dogs and the best cats, the best pets, come from shelters. There's something about dogs and cats. They know. They know where they are. You walk through one of them, and certainly at least one is going to look at you and go, I wish you'd take me home. I'm in hell. Please take me out of here. It'll be the best thing that you ever did for your soul. You'll feel good about it. And not only that, but you have a friend for life. Doesn't matter if you got money, you don't have money. Well, it doesn't make any difference to a dog or cat. All they need is the sound of your voice and maybe even the stroke of your hand, and they're fine. Maybe a little food every once in a while. The sweetest sound that those pets ever hear is your voice. Think it over and adopt a cat or a dog from a local shelter today. I'm telling you, you'll be glad you did.